So I'm taking my morning walk here down by the Chattahoochee River in Columbus, Georgia. And so I'll ask you guys a question this morning. Do you like seminars? Do you like going to them? Do you feel like you get much out of them? Do you remember the techniques that are shown? Do you think they're worth the money? So that's what we'll start with, because I'm doing some seminars down here at some gyms, and I was thinking about the fact that I personally used to hate going to seminars back in the day. And the reason was, for me personally, I felt like I didn't get much out of them. I would go to them and I would pay the money, I would invest the time and the effort, and at the end of it, I didn't remember anything. I didn't even have like a notebook. I would write all the notes down, and I still couldn't remember anything. And when I would go back to the gym, people would say, "Oh man, Chewy, how was the seminar?" I'm like, "Oh, it was great, man. I had a lot of fun." And they'd say, "Well, what did you learn?" And I couldn't show them anything. And then over time, I inadvertently figured out sort of a better way for me personally, and maybe someone that's like me, how to approach them and to get more out of them. And this happened because I used to love going to people's regular classes, just a regular old class where they would teach a couple techniques instead of this, barrage of information. And this happened because Hanato Tavares actually came into the gym one weekend, and he came in on a Friday and he taught a Friday no-gi class where he did about maybe 3 half guard techniques. And then the next day he did a seminar full of all kinds of great stuff. I don't remember anything from the seminar itself, but I remember everything that he went over during that Friday class. And in fact, those moves that he showed during that Friday class ended up changing my game in a profound way and set up they became like a cornerstone piece for my half guard game, and I've adjusted them and sort of changed them a lot to fit my game better, but they ended up changing my game around completely. And I was able to take those 3 techniques that he showed. One was an entry, 2 were 2 sweeps. I showed them to people around the gym. I was teaching them to everyone I could during the open mats, and I was, practicing them a bunch and trying to hit them during rolling. And I was able to take those moves and add them into my game immediately. And then as I got older, it wasn't until I was probably like late brown belt that I figured out that that's what I personally had to do. When I would go to a seminar, I would initially try to focus on everything and remember everything, and in turn, I remembered nothing. And then I was sort of put 2 and 2 together. It's like, oh, look, you don't have to remember everything. Like, again, 3 techniques, 1 technique, 2 techniques, whatever. A small amount of information can change your game in a profound way. So instead of saying, like, I'm trying to remember everything, just say, look, just remember a couple things. And so now when I go to seminars, I don't remember everything. I just I go through the thing, I go through the seminar, and then I look at all the stuff that's shown and figure out what I really liked, what I thought would be the most useful, or what I would like to go towards, and I just try to remember that. And it's made a huge effect in my game, and now I probably go to more seminars as a black belt, and I probably buy more courses and information online as a black belt, because I get more out of it because I understand how to do it. Instead of focusing on the whole thing, just take 1, 2, 3 techniques, right? Just something small, and just run with them. Stick to them for a month and see what you can get out of it. And you'll get more out of it that way. If you're like me, you'll get more out of seminars that way by focusing on less stuff than trying to remember everything that's there. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times it becomes mental overload at that point. Because I know for me, again, still, if I go to a seminar and I try to remember the whole thing, like even this past weekend when I was in Wisconsin, Mark Vives and Sean Hammonds, they both showed a lot of great stuff. And out of all of it, I actually have some of it recorded, but out of all of it, I remember about 2 things, and I've already been able to implement those 2 things into my game because, again, they showed a lot of good stuff, and I didn't try to go through everything. I was just like, I'm going to focus on these 2 things because I really liked them, and I thought they would be useful for my game. Anyway, I'm rambling, so again, I'm going to continue my walk, and talk to you guys next time.